What's up, everyone? You are listening to the Punch Drunk Soul Podcast. These are open, honest, and inspiring conversations with real, everyday people and sometimes experts about their own struggles and triumphs with happiness, fulfillment, and finding a sense of purpose in life. This is episode 4 of the Punch Drunk Soul Podcast. Today, I'm speaking with Coley Lane, the founder and editor of lifegoalsmag.com. Life Goals is an online magazine for becoming your best self, and it's a really great resource for anyone who's interested in personal growth and self-exploration. So in this episode with Coley, we cover a ton of ground in the world of personal growth, from finding your purpose and passions to meditation, to self-awareness, to our own personal habits and routines for staying aligned and becoming our best selves. So I was excited to talk to Coley because, having founded an online magazine all about personal growth, I knew she would have some interesting insights into what we could all be doing to be happier versions of ourselves. I also have gotten to know her personally outside of the podcast, and I know that her own journey of sort of growing up without any passions or directions might resonate with a lot of people. I know it resonated with myself. So sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy our conversation. Welcome to the show, Coley.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you. I know we've gone back now a few weeks, which has been really awesome to get to know you. But for our audience today, why don't we, or I'll let you take it away and kind of give your backstory a little bit and then tell us how you've got to be where you are now.
Sure. So my story sort of begins in middle school, where I was very involved in school and had a really small group of friends. It was a Catholic school, so it was a really tight-knit community. I think like the amount of us in a class was like 30 people or something.
Oh, okay.
So
the whole graduating class?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was really involved and super into it then. But then I went to a big public school, and all of the things that I was involved in middle school, I no longer could get into in high school. It was very competitive at that school.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really pick something in middle school to really go into. And so I kind of learned the hard way that you sort of have to figure out what you're into pretty early on if the competition is the way it is, or at least like choose then, you know? So I kind of like was in a few different things, like very minor things in high school, and same with college. I just didn't really get into a particular niche of things. Like I just didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So in college, I ended up majoring in business and having an emphasis in marketing. And so I ended up going into social media, which I love. So that was sort of an interest that I developed in college, but I never really resonated to the extent that I did after college when I found blogging and sort of became really interested in personal growth and learning about myself and really found purpose. It was kind of like I woke up in a way to life and like what it had to offer, and started like actually getting involved in my life and not let like life run me, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I know the feeling very well.
So yeah,
Awesome.
That's kind of my story.
Nice. And so right now you run lifegoalsmag.com, which is an awesome publication. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you're also working full-time, correct?
Correct, yes. It is currently the side hustle.
The side hustle. Nice. We all have, well, at least some of us aspire to have those too. Very cool. So I kind of want to go back to your middle school and high school, I guess in even college days, when you didn't really have a passion and feel like you had a purpose. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what that felt like? What were the thoughts maybe running through your head, or like the emotions you kind of felt? What did it feel like to be in that kind of stage?
I mean, honestly, didn't think too much about it back then in terms of like, well, at least not in high school. I just sort of thought like, well, I'm just not that great at these things. So, oh well, you know. But then in college, it was kind of a problem because people were, like I was commuting in college. So that was part of the reason I wasn't too involved in stuff or didn't make the real effort to. But people were in sororities or like really into the programs that they were doing, and I just sort of felt a little lost, and I wasn't really sure where I fit in. And that was really when I was just like, what am I doing with my life? Like I have no passions, and I feel like everybody else does.
Did you feel like thing. Did you feel kind of like you're the only one who didn't?
Sort of. I mean, I had friends who also felt similarly, so I knew other people were similar, but I felt like everybody sort of had a thing, you know? Like, I just feel like I didn't at all. Like, at least people had, like, a little bit of a thing. And I was just like, how do you find that? Like, will I ever find that? Will I just be in something that I kind of like?
Did that worry you?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm a big believer in finding a career that you love and living a life that you love, and I've always been that way. I've never been like, oh, let me go to law school because that would make me money. I just never had that mindset. So, I mean, when you don't know what that thing is, that's kind of a struggle.
Right, yeah, that's difficult. I think I can definitely relate to that. Like, I felt like I was always kind of just doing things that seemed okay. Like the things that I was doing, the jobs I was working, like seemed fine, but yeah, I wouldn't have called them like my passion or really felt like if I were to look back on my life in, you know, when I was like 60 and I kept doing what I was doing, I would have been like, so that's what that was all about. That would have been a little sad, I guess, for me. But so what did you end up doing? Like, how did you find blogging? How did you find personal development? What kind of got you to that?
So with blogging, I've sort of always had a bit of a blog. I think I started with Zanga or something and just sort of like was super all over the place with blogging. And then I think it was after college, I started a blog where I started actually engaging with community members, like other bloggers and stuff. I don't really know how I did that. Maybe like link ups or something, and like actually participating on social media accounts. And then I just realized like, oh, I really like this, but I don't necessarily know what to blog about.
Right.
So I'm not sure where the personal growth started. I think I wanted to explore more things that, like, you know, actually help you in life. And I didn't know all there is to know about it, obviously. So I, at first, was just like, you know, I think I would need to make it a community thing. I think I have more confidence that that wouldn't be my reason now. But at the time, I just didn't think I would have enough content to pull out. So I wanted to involve more bloggers. Yeah, that had something to say, you know, about how to do this stuff, how to live a good life. So that's sort of why I created it.
And so that was Life Goals magazine, Life Goals Mag. And how has that like really changed your life?
Oh, it's changed it in so many ways. Like, it actually makes me accountable, I think, to living a good life and like thinking about it constantly, because that's the purpose of the blog. So it sort of transformed a lot of areas in my life. Like, for instance, I never thought that I was interested in anything physical activity related. And I actually like started yoga and stuff and realized that that was no longer true. It was just about finding the thing that works for me, and it didn't need to be what everybody defined as, you know,
as a workout or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was forcing it for so long.
You were. It's just like, I need to find something.
Yeah, and like, oh, I must go to the gym and do the treadmill. Like, that's just what you have to do.
Yeah, I had that stage where you just like, oh, I gotta go to the gym, but like I have no idea what to do at the gym, so I just like go on the elliptical or the treadmill for like a half hour, watch like Law and Order, and be like, all right, got my workout in.
Yeah, but there's no, for
me,
me, like there always needed to be some kind of reason beyond just, I don't know. I mean, I know the reason of obviously getting healthy is a good reason, but for me that was never enough to do something I hated. So I haven't always, but I'm working on finding that in every area of my life, you know, like with eating well, like what can I do that feels good for me and feels right, and versus like, oh, I feel restricted, I have to eat this certain way.
Yeah, or like what's the trendy diet that's going on right now. Yeah, I was the same way actually. Like I played sports growing up, so like I always kind of, you know, did some sort of exercise, but once that kind of stopped, then I didn't really know what to do. And then I found boxing and I absolutely like just love it. So then I got into that, and it's like once you find a workout that you actually enjoy doing, it completely changes everything.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I want to talk to you about boxing sometime because I have thought awesome. I would be really good at that.
You should totally
get all my aggression out.
Yeah, no, I thought that originally too. I was like, oh, boxing, that sounds like something I would be good at. Yeah, I'll be a badass. So I'll check that out. But yeah, it's been awesome. And then, yeah, I recently picked up yoga in the last year, and I really like that. And I think boxing and yoga is like a good balance of each other. So those are like my two workouts that I just absolutely love. It makes it so much easier when you find something that you love.
Oh yeah, it's like it's no longer about like, oh, I have to do this. It's like, oh, I get to do this, and that's the best shift ever.
Yeah, that's really like an important mindset shift. It's going from like I have to do this to I get to. It's like a much more that's just a much better way to think of things.
Absolutely. And I'm starting to think that is so much more important than discipline. Like there is a way around the whole discipline thing, and I think it's just the mindset shift of like, no, this other thing works better for me than this bad unhealthy thing that I've been doing.
Yeah,
and you sort of like over time shift that. Yeah, exactly.
You can. Yeah, I've heard that mindset shift for like a lot of things. I've experienced that like with work too. Sometimes if I'm not feeling like doing something, like I'm just not feeling motivated, you know, I remember like, okay, I get to do this job. Like I'm getting paid for it, and I have the opportunity to do it, as opposed to like, oh God, I have to do this stuff. Like it makes a big difference.
Totally.
So you talk a lot about, you know, finding your purpose and, you know, how blogging has kind of brought that to you. And I know you said you weren't quite sure how you got into it, but how did you like go about trying things maybe that you were passionate about? Like, did you have to explore a lot, or were you kind of like looking back and thinking like, oh, I liked doing Zanga, maybe I would like blogging?
With blogging, that was one of those things that just kind of came naturally to me, as far as interests go. Like I just like writing and all of that, but I didn't necessarily think like the formal aspect of writing. Like I didn't have that skill set, so blogging was kind of a natural fit for me to do. But the taking it seriously part was kind of surprising to me. Like I wasn't really expecting to get the domain and all of that kind of stuff, and like actually blog weekly and keep up with it.
Yeah, I mean, Life Goals Mag has turned into a pretty big publication, so you should be very proud of it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the one that I took very, very seriously. Like, I have not stopped posting. We post, like, at least a few times a week. Yeah. My blog before that, I was a little, like, when you don't have a vision, that's when things are much harder to be consistent with. Yeah. And this one, I had a vision that really, like, worked and clicked with me. That I'm continuously passionate about, so it just makes it easy. Like I just don't even think about not doing it, really.
Nice. So, I think a lot of people might be getting hung up on like I know you and I have talked about finding like a passion and purpose, but a lot of times I think people get stuck on like finding one specific purpose, or like they think there's like one purpose to their life as opposed to maybe like multiple passions or purposes that they might be able to travel down that road. Like what do you think? Is there one purpose to your life, or are there like multiple possibilities that you could go down?
Oh, I think there's multiple. I think it's about following your curiosity, but I also think that there's different seasons of your life for different purposes and passions. Like maybe one fits with you right now, and you can really explore that and see where that takes you. It doesn't even have to be a passion, it can just be something that you're remotely curious about. Like go see how you can get involved in something in that area. And maybe that ends up not being your thing, but maybe it'll lead to the other thing that actually is your passion, you know?
Yeah. I think that's interesting what you say, like different seasons. different things will come about at like different points in your lives, and you just kind of have to follow them. Like you said, follow the little spark of curiosity.
Yeah, because who's to say like blogging is going to be a passion for me in a few years, you know? Like you just never know what is going to resonate with you later on, because we're changing all the time and society's changing, and like blogging isn't what it used to be. So you just never know what's going to come up that will pique your interest.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember, is that like, we not only are we ourselves like as individuals changing constantly, but the world is changing. And just because, you do have a passion right now doesn't mean that 10 years down the line it's going to be the same thing. I think we have to be like okay with knowing that things are going to change. Just because we have this one passion now doesn't mean it's going to be there 10 years later. And I think a lot of people like also get stuck on like, well, if I choose this passion, then this is, I have to go down that route and spend 10 years doing it, you know? I don't think that's the case. I think, like you said, you pick something, you go with it, and then it could change in a year, or could stay the same for a while. You just never know.
Yeah, I personally love change, which I know is not for everyone, and it's definitely not something I love in every aspect of life. Obviously, when things are good, you want them to stay the same, but I think embracing change is very valuable in life, because I mean, it's inevitable. Like things are going to change, and so learning to appreciate that and kind of experiment with different things that life brings you is just the best thing that you can do in that situation, you know?
Yeah. I think Seth Godin, and I'm not quoting exactly because I'm just terrible at quoting exact quotes, but he says something about, I think it's because I actually posted on my blog a little while ago, but he says like, there's, and I agree with him, and it sounds like you kind of agree with him too, but that there is no one life purpose. If Steve Jobs was born in a different decade, he wouldn't have started Apple. It's not like that was his life purpose. So just because, you think that there might be this, one end all be all, it's not necessarily the case. Like just keep choosing is basically what he says. Like just keep choosing and trying something and putting yourself out there, because your experiences are what determine your passions, and your dislikes. So the way you find things that you like and dislike is just by trying new things.
Yeah, and just showing up in life, just like the fact that you're experimenting and trying different things means that you're involved in your life, and those are like memories that you're gonna cherish, like it's not like it's important to have growth and to think about your career and your life and where you want things to be, of course, but you got to remember like the in the moment times too. What, like, are you enjoying life right now? Do you love what you're doing right now? Like those things are important too. Like the present moment is as important as 10 years from now.
Yeah, like we can't always be planning for the future or thinking ahead. That just one, that gets so frustrating because you can't really plan your future that well.
Yeah,
You can
totally.
have an idea of what you want, but that's going to change. I think anybody who has accomplished something will tell you that it didn't turn out how they planned.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like, don't be stuck on like a specific future outcome because it will change. But it is, it's important obviously to have goals and,
Yeah.
and to work towards them, but it's not the same as, being stuck on a specific outcome.
Plus, it'll probably be better than you could even imagine, Like, as long as you're putting your best self out there, I mean, your future is probably going to be pretty bright for you.
I agree. I agree with that. I don't think sometimes our own imaginations are not even as great as what the universe might hold for us.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we have to be open to the new possibilities and new experiences and the new outcomes that might come about.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
My chair is squeaky today. So I know you've mentioned to me before that it's important to trust in the timing of your life. Can you elaborate on this a little bit more and explain what you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I think all of us could agree that not being in control of our circumstances, like, is the worst. Just like not, I mean, you're in control of certain circumstances, but there's only so much that we have control over. So I am really being tested in this area right now.
Are you?
Yes, of trusting.
Tell us. Tell us
Just
why.
wanting things to move too fast. Like I'm possibly gonna be making a big move, and I want it to happen now. I'm that kind of person who just like once I make a decision to do something, I want it to happen right then. Mm-hmm. So I definitely have to trust the timing of my life over and over and over again daily, and tell myself like, it will happen when it's meant to happen. Mm-hmm. But it is definitely a tough thing that takes a lot of telling yourself that, honestly.
Yeah, that's funny that it's funny that we're talking about this now too, because I actually was thinking just the other day about how important just trust and complete faith in basically like what the universe has in store for you, and like you said, the timing of your life, how important that trust and faith is, because without it, I really strongly believe that you will be unhappy if you don't have that kind of faith or trust in just like you said, the timing of your life. Because if you are constantly trying to control things and you're trying to control the outcome of things, you're just going to be frustrated all the time, because like we said earlier, you can't control the outcomes. The outcomes are going to change. And if you're tied to one specific outcome, you're just going to be miserable the whole time. So I think having that faith that things will work out when they're supposed to work out, how they're supposed to work out, is super important to just like a feeling of peace and happiness in your life. That's something I've recently been also kind of struggling with, like you as well, just because that feeling of faith is not something I grew up with. Like I'm not religious. I never went to church, and I just didn't grow up in that kind of lifestyle. So that sense of faith and trust in something like greater has been a hard one for me to grasp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have recently, I think maybe a little bit under a year ago, have gotten reconnected with my faith. And it is so helpful in situations like this, like you're saying, like that. Yeah. Faith is something that you have to go back to, like, again and again until it feels a little more natural, which I'm not sure if it ever does. But I mean, we have this instinct to control things, and I think that goes back to the whole, like, I think the better things are out there that we don't have any control over, you know? Like, I think if we try to rush the timing, I don't think the outcome is as good as it would have been if we just trust and have that faith.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree with that.
It's like so simple and yet so difficult.
It is. The concept is so simple, and you know how to have faith, and at the same time practicing it is a completely different story. I know what it means, but trying to have that every day is a little difficult. Like, I find myself questioning and doubting pretty frequently, like, you know, the things that I believe in, and, you know, like, is, you know, the universe really working and having like this greater plan for me? Like, that's still, you know, like something that I struggle with, like, because it's hard when you can't. I've always been a very like realistic, scientific, not scientific, but like I've always trusted in, you know, science and math and physics and all of that. And so, and like I said, I wasn't brought up with any religion, so that idea of faith is definitely something new to me, and something like I've had to kind of build up on my own. So yeah, it's a hard process. It is really tough to trust in something that you can't like see or touch or feel.
Yeah, totally. That's like that's the toughest part about it, because we want that validation that we're on the right path and that good things will happen to us, but we can't get that. You know, that's the whole point of faith. So
yeah,
it can be really challenging because you don't know if what you want to happen is going to happen. And so, you want to kind of force things, and that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, that sense of control.
Yeah, and I mean, it is so much easier when you think about it to just like let things be. You don't have to do much of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you just trust in the process and trust in the timing of things, then really all you have to do is follow that kind of path that you know, that vision that you have, but you just kind of, you keep aligning with yourself. Like, you keep aligning with that vision, but you don't have to work as hard. You really don't.
Yeah, it's that battle in your mind that's really the exhausting part of all of it.
Yeah, definitely. So, knowing what you know now about, you know, finding your passion and trusting in the timing of things, like, what advice would you give someone who's maybe feeling the way that you were back when, you know, you lacked passion or purpose?
I think if you have any inkling of something that you're interested in, start taking like a tiniest step you could towards that thing, and just keep taking tiny steps and see how it feels and like what it brings to you. And maybe even dabble in a lot of things. Like, I don't see any problem with experimenting and trying a bunch of different things. And internships were a good thing for me when I was starting out career-wise, to figure out what I was sort of interested in. Because social media is definitely related to what I do on the side as well, you know. But that also sort of showed me what parts I like about it and what parts I don't. But I much prefer like doing my own stuff, you know. But I mean, I would even say if you have something that you're somewhat curious about, to start a blog about it, or start a YouTube channel on it. I know a lot of YouTubers actually who are like the beauty guru people, they weren't even that into makeup when they started. And they developed their passion through doing it for videos, you know? Like, they just chose something and did it. And I think maybe that wasn't their passion, but it gave them a starting point to figuring out what that is. And
yeah, no, I actually totally can relate to that, because that's kind of how I started my blog. Like, it was something that I was curious about with, spirituality and wellness and personal growth and happiness in general. Was just all something I started to become really curious about. And I just started writing about my own experiences with these topics. And that's and it's turned into a huge passion, enough to start a blog and a podcast about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just kind of have to keep exploring things, and then you'll land on something for now, but who knows what it'll be in a few years.
Totally.
Just have to keep choosing.
Yeah, and that might be how you get introduced to another thing,
Exactly.
You might start a blog on cooking, and then you discover other bloggers who do something else, and you were like, oh, that's really cool. That's actually like something I want to explore more. And it kind of stems from there.
Yeah. Yeah, the importance is just to stay curious, I think, like what you said earlier. And just to keep trying things. I think that's where we're at here.
Yes. Experiment and do not give away your curiosity. Just keep doing it.
So I personally talk a lot about self-awareness on my blog, because I feel like it's an important factor that a lot of people are really missing when it comes to happiness and fulfillment. A lot of people are looking like externally for that, and as opposed to really exploring who they are. How do you think self-awareness has played a role in your life and aligning with your passions and purpose?
I think self-awareness is what keeps me on my path of growth, because learning about what doesn't work for me and versus what does work for me is a huge part of motivating myself and figuring out like, how can I be my best self? Because I'm not into forcing things that just don't align with who I am. And I don't know, I'm very interested in seeing, like, how did I make that good habit happen? And sort of like replicating that for other habits. That's sort of the mission that I'm on right now, is examining that kind of thing, so I can for one get a morning routine down that I'm really all about. Waking up at 6 a.m. has been a struggle.
Yeah.
In habit building, but
I like what you said about the motivation part, because I think for me, self-awareness has really brought about motivation in a way. Like, before, I think a lot of people, when they're not feeling motivated, or they're procrastinating on things, or they just don't feel like they have much drive, personally, from just based on my own experience, I feel like it's because they have just a lack of what they not a lack, but they just aren't aware of what they really want, and they're not clear on what they really want. And once you really know that, the motivation just comes. Like, I think I think you've probably experienced that with your blog too. Like, and with personal development and everything, like, once you've aligned kind of with something that you're, really personally aligned with, then that motivation and energy and drive just kind of comes naturally.
Yeah, I don't think you need to force it, honestly. I think, again, with the experimenting, but it really is about what I have learned helps me is journaling about it, honestly. I know not everyone's a journaler, but I think just like reflecting on the stuff that you're doing and sort of figuring out what your values are, what's important to you, can kind of be a journey. And some of it is based on what isn't, what doesn't align with your values. You kind of figure that kind of stuff out. It's even how it is when you're finding your ideal partner, you're like, okay, well, I don't like this quality because your ex-boyfriend had that quality and it wouldn't work for you. You know what I mean? Like you sort of narrow things down by what doesn't work for you. And then you're also like, well, this quality would be really nice. And sometimes you think that, and then it's not true for you. So you kind of, I don't know, it's a lot of experimenting, and maybe you never stop learning about yourself. I'm kind of thinking that you never do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you ever do. Because like we said earlier, you're constantly changing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's always new things to learn about yourself. So I agree. Like, journaling is a great way to do that. And even, I mean, you don't have to call it journaling, but even if you just write down some notes every now and then about, like, things you've experienced that you like or you don't like, that's just a good way to reflect back on things that have worked or not worked for you. You don't have to make, like, you know, if you're not a journaler and you're forcing it, you don't have to make it like a habit or anything. But I do know that journaling has helped tons of people, me included, really get clear on the things that they want. So it's definitely an important process, and an important part of becoming like self-aware.
And you could totally do it in a lot of different ways, which is kind of why I built the quiz that I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah. Tell us more.
So you can find out like what kind of journaler you are. And so even if you haven't ever journaled, it's a pretty helpful quiz. It's just on lifegoalsmag.com/quiz if you want to take it.
Awesome. I'll put that in the show notes too.
Sweet.
I have to take that quiz too.
I'm a reflective journaler. In case you end up taking it, I want to know what you end up being.
I will tell you. What does that mean for you?
It kind of means that I journal to learn about myself, which is perfect about what we're talking about. Like I want to learn more, so sometimes doing like a workbook or prompts or something is good for me because I don't necessarily have to come up with what I'm writing, or maybe I start with a question that I'm thinking about that I want to learn about myself. And if you just kind of like sit with it for a while, I find that you actually, the answer kind of comes to you, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, is being patient with it. A lot of times I'll sit down to journal and like nothing is coming to my head, and I'm just like, well, I'm not thinking of anything right now. Totally. But if you get like, maybe like allow yourself like 20 minutes to sit and think. And if still nothing comes to you, then just try another time.
Yeah. And I know another thing that stops people, and it's kind of stopped me, is that I think somebody else will find my journal. And I'm really I'm just like not into being like, completely like Dear Diary kind of stuff. Yeah. If I think anyone could possibly find it, like I just don't.
Dear Diary.
I mean, I wouldn't be like that anyway, but you know what I mean. Like I have that fear that somebody's gonna read all my personal thoughts. But ways around this is totally, you could just do it on your computer and then erase it right after. I mean, it doesn't matter if you keep these things. What matters is that you get what's going on in your head onto paper, and it helps you declutter your mind too, because we can have a ton of thoughts going on.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I do tend to keep all my journaling stuff because it is a lot of times helpful to go back and reflect. But at the same time, half of the things I've never looked back on. And I do think you're right. Like sometimes all it takes is getting things out on paper or on a computer that's in your head, because a lot of times we don't even really realize the thoughts and the feelings and the ideas that are in our heads until they're actually out on paper.
Yes.
That's the funny thing about blogging, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, is like halfway through the article that I'm writing or something, I'll look back and be like, I had no idea I was thinking all of this stuff. It's like it's like my ideas and thoughts kind of come out of me in writing that I didn't even really know I had.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's nice to just take the time to sort of see what you're thinking about. Like that's the great part about journaling, is that you're devoting time to decluttering your mind or thinking about these things. I mean, a lot of the times we're not self-aware because we're not spending that time to think about it. You know, we're just going about our day, doing our thing, and before we know it, we have like way too many thoughts, or just like have no idea what we're doing in life because we just haven't taken the time.
That's what I have been calling like just being on autopilot, and a lot of people call it that. It's not my term, but I resonate with that like a lot because that's how really I felt I was living my life. Like I was just on autopilot. I was kind of more of like a passenger in my own life than the actual driver. And I think being self-aware and just giving yourself time to think about your thoughts every day it's insane how much it changes your life just to take even just 5 minutes a day to stop and think your thoughts. Just listen to your thoughts and see what's coming up has been like completely transformational for me. And I don't think enough people do it.
Yeah, and it's so important when you're in like some kind of conflict. I actually realized this today because I don't actually journal much when I'm in some kind of conflict or
interesting.
but I think it's actually the best time to do it because before approaching somebody, journaling about it is amazing because you can see what you're thinking and be kind of the blunt, honest person that you want to be, but you don't want to be because it will not serve you well in that conversation, you know? And you can kind of like figure out how to talk to that person, because for me, I'm a verbal processor, so I will often, I mean, I'm sure it works just fine in journaling too, but since I usually will speak my thoughts, I will do it like right away, you know, like I will not take the time to process sometimes. And then I'll figure out how I actually feel about the situation, like midway through the conversation. I'll be like, wait, no, like what I said earlier wasn't true.
Never mind.
So I think like journaling, I should really be using it for that as well. I mean.
Yeah, now that you mention it, like I remember certain times like in my relationship too with my boyfriend, like when we were having an argument or I just was feeling annoyed about something, like I would journal about it. And I'm not even like a journaler. I don't have like a specific journal or anything, but like I had, you know, some old ones lying around, and I would just like basically like write down a rant of everything I was feeling. And I think that definitely allowed me to like process it more and not sort of lash out. But I was able to talk to him much more calmly about the things that was going on for me.
Yeah, because you're still getting it out somewhere. You're just not getting it out at that person. So it's probably like a much healthier way to do things.
Yeah, I definitely think it helped now, like looking back on it. But so is journaling really one of like your main routines or habits that you have to kind of stay aligned with yourself and with your passions?
Journaling is one of those habits I'm trying to develop more regularly. But what I do often is the 5-minute journal. Have you heard of that?
Oh, okay. I've heard of it. Actually, my boyfriend does it.
That's awesome.
And he's been trying to get me to do it too. And like occasionally we'll do it, but yeah, we're not consistent with it.
Yeah, I am really working to be consistent on it, but it's really nice because you, for people that don't know, you do, I'm guessing it's like half the time in the morning and then half the time at night of the 5 minutes. So in the morning, I think you say what you're grateful for, like what you want to, what would make that day great. My problem is I have not developed the habit of the end of the day part of that. So that's...
Me too. I am totally a morning person and I do everything in the morning. Like I got my whole routine, but the night I just still haven't developed it yet.
Yeah, it's so fun though. Like I'm currently working on developing my morning routine, and it's just like, it's a pretty fun experiment because I'm just like, okay, this thing works for me. And this is what we were talking about with experimenting too. Like I'm totally doing that with my morning routine right now. And I'm thinking like, oh, I could even go down to the beach. Like it's not that far from my house. And like, just like really fun things that like I'll eventually figure out what really works for me. But I think the experimenting is part of the fun of developing routines and habits.
Definitely. And they're always changing too. Like I know for a long time, like I listened to the app Headspace to do my meditations. But now I've become, and I wouldn't say like good at meditating, but I've definitely become much better. At least I have like a handle on what kind of works for me with meditating. And so now I either just listen to some ocean sounds or even just sit in silence and kind of just have my time to myself in the mornings. But yeah, like the habits change too.
Oh, that's great. I want to get more into meditating too, but that's one of those things that hasn't really stuck for me for some reason.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have trouble with it at first, just because I don't feel like you don't see like an immediate return on results, really. And I think that's at least part of the reason it was for me at first. Like I didn't stay consistent with it because I was like, this just isn't really working for me. But I had to try like different kinds of meditating. Like I tried just, there's a few different kinds, but the ones that worked for me most was really like guided meditations. And like Headspace was a good place to start because they kind of lay the foundation for it as like a partly guided meditation. But I really didn't start seeing results, and I don't like saying results because they're hard to explain. But like I would say like 6 months down the line, after meditating almost every day, I started to just realize that my perspective on things had changed, and like I became much calmer, and I could react to things a little bit slower and kind of maintain my calm. So I would definitely, you have to experiment, with meditating and find one way that works with you. Like I know there's different like chanting meditations that I've tried, and the guided meditations, and there's ones you can do with just music, you can do just by yourself, you can do like even like daydreaming meditations or walking meditations. There's so many different kinds, so don't stop at just like, oh, I need to sit here and be silent. That's really, only one type of meditation.
I went to a meditation class a few weeks ago, and the instructor was talking about a breathing technique, and that's actually something that I have been doing when I'm feeling a lot of stress or anxiety.
Oh, good.
So that's like, I guess, meditating. But that's the interesting thing about meditating too, is because like, I do yoga classes and stuff, which kind of incorporates some meditation.
Yeah, it does.
So, I get that part of it often, but I definitely wish I could do it more consistently.
Yeah. Well, I think also part of it is like just kind of have fun with it. Like if you're not, like I think a lot of people become so consumed with like, I have to be silent for it. Like a lot of times my meditations are like I kind of let myself just listen to my thoughts and like kind of run away with them. So like I might start, I don't know, like it's almost sometimes more of like a daydream, and it helps me kind of like see things that I want. So even that's like a meditation. Yeah, it's a different kind, but if that gets you started in it, then great.
Cool, I love that. And you were talking about like meditation walks too, and I've been doing a gratitude walk, which isn't the same thing, but I think that is something that I really enjoy, and it definitely helps me.
Are you doing that in the mornings?
No, I'm doing it on my lunch, or not on my lunch, on my breaks at work. Nice. I'll just like go walk to the water, and I'll just go through like everything that I can think of that I'm grateful for. And then I also talk about what I'm thankful for in the future that hasn't happened yet, as if it's already there, which is a new thing for me. And I'm loving that part of it, because you feel the feelings that you would have with those things, or what you assume you will have. And so you already feel that way without those things even happening to you. And so that's a practice I really love.
That's something I've been getting into too. Like that's part of what I do in the mornings with my meditations is I mean, I guess you can call it kind of manifesting, but that might be a little woo-woo for some people. But yeah, it's just like really thinking about what you want and then feeling already what it's like to have it. Because like you said, with that, you already feel it. So, like it already brings that happiness, that you're looking for. But it's tough to do. I don't know. How has it been for you? Because for me, I can visualize what I want, but actually feeling it and feeling the emotions is a little bit harder for me.
I mean, I just sort of like do it in a very formal, like, thank you for this that exists, like, that is going to happen kind of thing. So I just like get lit up by that phrase, like just saying that.
Just simply that alone just helps you
and it's
there.
not like a huge shift. I mean, like when I get back to the office, I'm like, like I can totally go back in that mindset if I'm not careful. But it definitely like brings me more joy than just a regular walk would, by just thinking about like the things I'm appreciative of, and they don't have to have happened yet for me to appreciate them.
Yeah, it's true. You're excited for them in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, gratitude's become a huge part of my life as well. That's something I do every morning too, is just list the things I'm grateful for and kind of feel what it's like to really appreciate those things.
Yeah, because it's so easy to forget and just take advantage of things because you've always known them, or you just expect them to be there for you. And then, I mean, it's so helpful to see other people's experiences that aren't that, and that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that doesn't need to happen and shouldn't have to happen. We shouldn't have to experience or see other people's hardships, to be reminded, like, oh yeah, I have to be thankful for that,
Yeah.
But I mean, those are always the reality checks that push me back into gratitude.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think a lot of people are like, well, a lot of people have trouble like thinking about what they're grateful for every day. They think like maybe the same things, the same couple of things, but I mean, you can get really simple with it. Like, I mean, you can just be grateful for the couch you're sitting on. You can be grateful for the refrigerator that keeps your food cold, the water bottle that you're drinking out of, the job that you have. Like, there's just the feet that you walk with, like you can really get very small too, and very specific, as opposed to just like, I'm grateful for the friends and family that I have, which that one's a big one for me all the time. But I think we forget a lot of the other like things that seem so small, but they all add up to, our life. Like, oh, thankful for being able to get gas in the morning, like all those little things. Or even like things that you don't actually think you're grateful for. Like, oh, I'm grateful for this bill because, this bill is actually paying my electricity and I'm able to afford paying it. Like that's a huge mindset shift in itself, to be actually grateful for the things that you don't really like.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Especially car stuff where you're like always annoyed that you have to take care of that kind of stuff. But then you're like, wait, but you get me to all the places that I want to go, and that's amazing,
From A to B.
Yeah.
So I talk with a lot of people on this show who have kind of come to know what it means to be aligned with their truest self and their most authentic self, or maybe their soul, some people will call it. Is this something you would say that you've experienced or you are currently like working towards? What does this notion maybe mean to you?
I would say I'm working towards it. I mean, I still sort of believe that, I don't know if it like ever fully will happen, but I think like like going towards it is sort of the point, like always striving for that.
Yeah. It's about the journey and the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting too hung up on, making it to that, and like being frustrated that you're not is not gonna make you happy.
Yeah, like being okay with the fact that you're not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is important. Yeah, that's something I've talked a lot about on like some of the previous podcasts, is like just being okay where you're at and knowing that like this is where you're supposed to be right now.
Yes, and just, keep following your values and keep trying to make good decisions, and don't beat yourself up when they don't happen, you know? Like, we're all human, and we need to give ourselves grace for those things that just, like, some days it's not going to happen. And that's okay.
I agree. We're all human. Yeah. So as a personal development blogger, I am sure you've come across like a ton of great resources or people who have influenced you along the way. Do you have any favorite ones or resources or people that you would recommend to our audience, or to someone who might be, maybe passionless or purposeless right now?
So Byron Katie was like a huge game changer for me with personal development. She has a book called Loving What Is, and it's all about questioning your thoughts and asking yourself like if they're really true. And she has like a 4-question process for this, but I listened to the audiobook version, and she has like, she's actually talking to people through it and like coaching them through like really crazy stuff, and somehow gets them to a place where they're content. Like, it's amazing. So that's a process I definitely want to incorporate more into my life, because I think we can get stuck in these thoughts that we have, but we really need to question them more and think like, is that really true? Like, is that actually what happened? Like, is that person really upset with you? Like, if you are just making up these stories in your head, you can really sit with those for a long time, and they'll just, I don't know, they'll
sabotage your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great one. I'll have to check that one out.
And then, I don't know, okay, this one's kind of weird, but I don't know if you have any moms that follow your stuff, but I randomly...
I have a few, at least my mom.
Okay, cool.
My mom do.
So there's this podcast called the Purposeful Home Podcast, and for some reason I'm really into it, but it's totally catered to moms, and I'm not a mom or a wife, but I love it because it's also about living a purposeful life, and so, all the things that we love. So yeah, that's a recommendation, but I don't think everyone would love it. I'm kind of a little weird for loving it as much as I do.
We like weird here, so all good. Cool. Any other ones?
We were talking about her earlier, but Jess Lively of the Lively Show is awesome.
Love Jess. Jess, if you're ever listening to this, we love you. Maybe we'll send it to her and she'll listen.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think she commented on my podcast post, and I was just
I saw that.
This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Starstruck by a personal growth celeb.
Yes, it was awesome. I was like, oh, she knows who I am now.
That's awesome. She's like been traveling all over the world now. Gotta go meet up with her somewhere.
Oh yeah, I know. It's so inspirational.
Yeah. Cool. Any other ones, or? I'm sure you have a bunch more. I have so many.
But... I feel like a lot of the foundational ones are ones everybody would know, like Brene Brown and Elizabeth Gilbert and Cheryl Strayed. Those are like the core people that I think.
Yeah, those are some good ones.
You can just keep learning from them forever. Like, I could just re-listen to things and still feel motivated and inspired. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if we could ask you 3 of your top tips for a happy, fulfilled, purpose-filled life, what would you say?
My number one thing would be to have an attitude of abundance, meaning that you believe that you already have everything that you need, that the world is happening for you and not to you. Like just that feeling that you are enough, that you have enough is everything. I mean, that's definitely something that you have to keep telling yourself. I don't again, like, don't know if this like naturally happens for people, but that's one of those like gratitude reminder things of like, no, I have everything that I need. Why am I complaining about this? Another one would be to stay present and really enjoy each moment and try your best to leave your phone behind sometimes because it's so hard.
I like that.
And there's so much going on. But I think that we can really do ourselves a disservice to pay attention to that instead of the people that are right in front of us and the nature that's around us. I mean, going for walks without your phone is just amazing because you can really take in the world around you, you know?
Yeah. 1 second before you say your last one, I want to go back to the morning routine thing and kind of go off what you just said about the phone. I leave my phone in airplane mode. Like I turn it in airplane mode when I go to sleep, and that way in the morning, like I just go through my morning routine without having any notifications, no emails, no texts, no nothing when I wake up. And that has really helped me stay consistent with my morning routine. I don't know if that's something you do or like something that might help you, but that like has hugely helped me. I just leave my phone in airplane mode until I'm like completely done with my morning routine.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's one of the things I have tried, but I actually have forgotten about that. So I will definitely start doing that. Yeah, I love that. Plus, I think it's better for you if your phone is on airplane mode, I've heard.
Yeah, so. Like all the radio waves and all of that stuff. It's better for you anyway. All right, your last tip for a happy life.
I mean, I mentioned this earlier, but I think it's so important is that to give yourself grace when you don't live up to your standards. Because, I mean, we all have pretty high standards for ourselves, I feel like. People listening to this podcast probably have very high standards for themselves. And I don't know, it's so easy to beat yourself up when you don't make that. And that is something that I'm learning a lot lately, is that I have these really high standards and I don't live up to them every day. And so I really have a habit of beating myself up for those things and learning to be more gentle with yourself and appreciating the mistakes that you make and the times that you don't do it, because I mean, some of it is self-care and stuff that you need for, you know, like you need to take a bath sometimes instead of finishing your work, you know, like it's okay.
I totally agree.
Yeah, it's okay to not always be at your highest self and not to be fulfilling everything that you wanted to do that day. It's okay.
I appreciate that one, so much, because I definitely am the same way. Like I push myself sometimes and I'm definitely critical of myself when I don't get everything on my to-do list done. But yeah, sometimes you just have to be like, you know what, my body just needs a little bit extra rest today, and you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah, I had this situation this week actually where Monday was a very productive day for me, and I don't know about you, but when I have those like really highly productive days, I think to myself, like, why can't every day be this productive? Like, imagine what I would accomplish if every day was like this. And then the next day I was just like, you know, it's raining outside. I kind of just want to like watch some shows, even though I still had a significant to-do list. And I had to just be like, you know, that's okay. Like that's totally okay to have a productive day and then to have a lazier day. Like I don't need to beat myself up over that.
Yeah, you gotta listen to what your body needs.
Yeah.
If your body's saying you gotta relax on the couch and watch some good TV, then that's what you need to do.
And that doesn't mean you choose that every time. Like,
still be... We're not saying be lazy here.
But I think that it's helpful.
But you need to rest too.
Yeah.
Like I just experienced, like a similar thing with like health issues too. Like your body will quite literally stop you in your tracks when you've pushed yourself too hard. You'll get sick, like whether it's a cold, a flu, or something worse, like your body will physically stop you from, doing things. And I think sometimes we think like, oh, I just got sick. But if we stop to think about like, maybe we were really stressed or overworked, like, and we just needed a little break. We needed an excuse to lie in bed all day.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the universe
telling us that.
The universe is telling you to slow down.
Exactly.
It's not subtle sometimes.
No, and I wrote a blog post about that the other week too. Like I think it was like the time to rest is when you think you don't have time for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the best time you need to rest.
I mean, I don't struggle with that too much because I struggle the other way. Like I have a tendency more towards laziness, sadly, than overworking. But I mean, it's still there, when you're lazy, you still feel that way. Like, oh, I should be doing this regardless of what your tendency is towards. So that grace is still important.
Yeah, and not feeling guilty. Like when you're taking a rest, like just enjoy the rest, because if you're feeling guilty the whole time and like, oh, I should be doing this, like you're not even enjoying the rest. You're not getting any rest.
Yeah, you're taking away the point.
If you're going to take a rest, if you're going to take a rest, enjoy it and appreciate the rest.
Yes.
So where can people go to connect with you further if they want to, check out lifegoalsmag.com, or if you have any social, what would you like to share with us?
Yeah, so we're at Life Goals Mag everywhere. And then I am at Coley_LN on Twitter. And that's pretty much where you can find me at. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Coley, this has been so much fun.
I know.
Thank you for, sharing with us and being honest and open and vulnerable. It's always appreciated.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Okay, well, that's a wrap on this one, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Coley. I actually recently wrote an article for Life Goals Mag, and if you'd like to check it out, you can go to punchdrunksoul.com/LGM, as in Life Goals Mag. It's about how you don't really need to go soul searching to find yourself. I'll just leave it at that. And as always, if you found this episode or podcast useful or entertaining, please consider leaving me a review on iTunes. You can do that by going to punchdrunksoul.com/review or forwarding it on to a friend who you think it might resonate with. If you'd like to connect with me further, you can find me at punchdrunksoul.com and over on Instagram at punchdrunksoul. For any show notes for this episode, you can head over to punchdrunksoul.com/Coley Lane. That's COLEYLANE. Thanks for listening, guys.